What was something you thought would be easy until you tried it? Snowboarding. I grew up on skis, and when I tried snowboarding I literally just rolled down the entire mountain like a slinky on the stairs. I've heard several people say this. I have a couple friends that grew up in places that they could ski all the time. They said they thought snowboarding was going to be a piece of cake. Both said it kicked their ass. Everyone remembers their first day of snowboarding. Playing the guitar. The jump from not being able to play anything to playing basic chords and a couple songs you like isn't that much, and it makes you feel like such a badass. But the jump again to a working musician is astronomical. I tried and just got burnt out, and it wasn't fun anymore. Playing guitar is so much harder than I thought it would be. I've been playing for about 6 months and it's a ton of work. Somewhere between 100 and 200 practice hours. A lot of the fundamentals start connecting to each other and everything comes together. You're probably getting close to that. Running. I was like, yeah, I smoke and drink, but I can definitely run like the wind. Hannah. Quit smoking after my first run, and am now 3 years smoke free. Yes, I'm also almost 3 years smoker free, and loving running. Totally changed my life. A lot of the parts from that Ninja Warrior show. I'm a very physically fit guy and always thought that first course looked like a breeze. Then I found a local gym with a different element set up. Even just that very first part, where you hop across a few platforms, was tough. It is always unfair to some contestants. Some things such as the jumping and spider wall are very easy if you are a certain height. But I have seen many people fail just because they are not tall enough to do it. Even on the actual show, there was one girl that was too short to reach both sides of the spider wall and fell. However, when I was a kid I went to a Ninja Warrior training gym, and they had things such as the jumping, spider wall, and warp wall, except sizes so kids could do them. They were not any easier. Things like the warp wall were still the same size, and honestly, they were all very easy. It just takes the right strength and height. Honestly, a child would have an easier time on it if things were scaled down to their size than an adult. Even though they are less strong, their body mass is just so much less that it's easier to move it. Semicolon. For an example, I put on weight intentionally, going from 130 pounds at my lowest to my current weight of 148. Even though I'm significantly stronger now, I can only do maybe 2 pull-ups more than when I was 130. Why? Because while 18 pounds isn't a lot, moving it over and over is extra fatiguing. Drawing. Every single time. Been an artist for a long time and this is still true some days. Some days I'm hit with inspiration and feel like I need to draw something. Then it ends up looking like butt. Other days I'll sit down to doodle and come up with something better than if it tried. Mudding and taping sheetrock. It's easy, unless you want it to look good. That's the issue. Mine never looks good. Not even patchwork. True. I can see every imperfection and bubble whenever I go into the room. No one else seems to notice but I do. Maintaining a proper work/life balance. When I was still in college, I'd either procrastinate way too much or I'd work non-stop. I was never able to find a balance where I was still getting shit done, but not burning myself out. Unfortunately, I feel as though college is actually one of the worst times for a young adult to figure out a good work/life balance. There was always too much of something going on. Too many extracurriculars to attend that your friends were doing. Too many different classes placing independent demands on you for workload and homework. Too many people asking you to sort your life out. Asking you to think about a career. Where do you want to live? Where do you want to work? Have you signed up for summer classes? How about those grades? And if you need to pay your way through school with a job? Ha ha. Good luck. Have you kept in touch with friends? Family? Oh, now you're sick. That's gonna be a few days worth of schoolwork piling up, and breaks/weekends aren't fun anymore because either you're thinking about all the things you have to do or will have to do once you go back. I'm a little bitter. Still, I'm about to graduate at 30 and these last 4 years have been some of the hardest in my life. By the time I realized that this was killing me, I had no choice but to follow through. The culture around academia is disturbing. Has anyone tried to learn to do a handstand as an adult? How is that so difficult? Thanks, but I'm trying to do the unbroken wrists thing in my life right now. Tried yoga. I started and thought it looked so easy. I always worked out. How hard can it be? Holy shit. I have face planted and fallen on my ass more times than I can count. My muscles were so sore. It is a great workout but dangerous. Learning a second language. I understand it's far easier as an adolescent, but woo. Conversational German for an English speaker is very hard for me. Deutsch sprach schwer sprach. Gorlami. Making and maintaining friends as an adult. I never really put much thought into this until I had no friends left in adulthood and realized how easy it used to be as a kid in school in comparison. Any good methods you can share? Asking for a lack of friend. For me, it's around shared hobbies and experiences with anyone you do know, even a co-worker. Before the pandemic, I joined a local amateur volleyball league, and after games some of us would go out for dinner and drinks. A few people were into board games, so we started meeting up for that. Another group of friends was just some co-workers who would drink on Sunday nights to bitch about work, and as people quit we just kept meeting up to talk shit, so even though we all work at different places we still meet up. Managing your own time. Self-discipline. There are a lot of things that can distract you, and bam, it's 9 p.m. and nothing has been done. Seriously. You can take one lazy day as an adult and you're somehow a week behind but not any less tired. Submit a bug report. This shit is unplayable. This shit is even less playable when it's on hard mode. i.e. r/ant. I'm not a really confident person, but I keep working on my confidence. There was a time when I tried the fake it until you make it approach. Faking it is harder than expected. Edit. Thank you for all the awards and suggestions. Pay attention to your inner dialogue. We go through life picking up a lot of negative feedback, mulling it over until we've internalized it to the point we just accept it as fact. When something comes into your mind that's hurtful and self-sabotaging, calmly challenge it. Try to think of where it, more like who it came from, and refute the thought. It takes practice, but with some time you'll notice your belief in yourself has increased exponentially. One version of this I like is asking yourself, who profits from these thoughts? For instance, as a woman, the beauty industry is usually who profits from my insecurity and negative thoughts. It has helped me loosen their stranglehold on my mind and reprioritize to a certain extent. Socializing with a group of people I usually wouldn't hang out with. It's either that, or I stay alone forever. But I just can't find any sort of relatability to these people. I've found that hanging out with coworkers is very unfulfilling most of the time, because the only thing we have in common is work. And then we only talk about work. Sigh. I'm actually so fortunate to not have this at all, and didn't appreciate it until just now. Of the 6 people in my office, 4 of us really get along and actually have a good bit in common. When we go out we don't ever speak about work at all. Pottery. I made a couple of very small, crappy bowls on the wheel. But the thing I made the best and far more often was a giant mess. I can sculpt fine, but those stupid bowls get me. So many of my students are absolutely shocked when throwing is hard. I'm glad to see this on here. Quitting an addiction. Not that hard. I quit smoking 10 times per day. One time this teacher I had, who was a smoker, told me he quits smoking every night when he goes to sleep. Probably a good way to never quit smoking. Getting a job. For me, getting a low-paying job out of high school was easy. I just walked door to door through businesses asking if they had openings available. A couple hours later, I had a couple interviews same day, and it felt so easy to get offers. Now I'm trying to get a job out of college, and I can't go door to door or apply to 30 different companies in a day. Now I have to have a compelling story about why X company is so great and why I applied to work there because I loved them from before I was born. I just want an entry-level job in my field anywhere. If I end up disliking the company, I can leave after 2 years on good terms and find another job elsewhere. Now I have to have a compelling story about why X company is so great and why I applied to work there, because I loved them from before I was born. I just want an entry-level job in my field anywhere. If I end up disliking the company, I can leave after 2 years on good terms and find another job elsewhere. Feigning interest sucks. My last job was at a gas station. I had no idea what to say. Oh, I just love the aroma of spilled diesel. Apostrophe. I'm still in school, so I still write a lot of papers and whatnot, and so many prompts are about what stands out to us in our readings. And while it may genuinely be interesting stuff, sometimes the intrigue just isn't there. I like my major, but I can't be expected to share passions with every long dead researcher out there. On the first trip to England, after renting a car, it proved to be a considerable challenge to drive on the other side of the road from what I was used to, especially in the roundabouts and on major highways. Stay left stay, left 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 stay left stay left stay left. Stay left stay, left 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 stay left stay left. Consistently working out. I found that it's best to do whatever you feel you can actually keep up. Used to do methodical full body workouts when I went to the gym and would get burnt out in weeks. But now I just do a muscle or two a day and I've kept at it for about a year now. I second this. When I first started working out I thought I had to hit everything at least once when I did it and could never keep up with myself. Personally I found a rhythm with upper/lower splits, going 4 days a week, that I really enjoy. I always recommend splits to people first starting cause you can find so many plans for free online. Rolling down a pretty steep grassy hill when you're in your 60s. Sounds easy and fun, right? OMG. No. Respect. Working a job. Doing the job physically itself. I have no problem with. Mentally. It's the drain of bad management and feeling like you're wasting your time. That and being middle management. Or a team lead. Or whatever. Still dealing with incompetent management. But now you're responsible for other people too. The emotional/mental drain of wanting to do a good job for the people whose lives you affect, but not being able to due to people above you not caring, can be crushing. And being caught in the middle you get blamed from both ends, and can often feel like shit. Yes. Being a low-level manager is so much more difficult than it looks. You want to help people have good lives and progress in their careers, but you're just as in the dark about everything as they are, while also being expected to convince everyone to get on board with policies you don't agree with. And that's the best case scenario where the people reporting to you are good at their jobs and don't piss anyone off. As soon as someone on your team starts making things difficult, that becomes your whole job. Studying and working at the same time. Went fine for 1 semester, but next month I'm switching to part-time. It's just not sustainable for my mental health otherwise. I've been a professor for 13 years and I've literally seen only a handful of students successfully do this. Fewer than 10. I have had some others do it and get C's and have to retake some classes. But the vast majority flunk out. A lot can handle it as freshmen, but by the time they are taking upper level courses it falls apart. Throwing dough to make pizza, and pretty much the rest of the pizza making process. Getting the dough into a round 18-foot pie is tricky. Then getting the sauce, even and not on the crust, is a process. And getting all of it done as quickly as possible. After several hundred pizzas I can crank them out pretty good now though. My dad and grandpa owned pizza restaurants until I was 11. And I definitely agree. We still make pizzas often. But when you're not in the routine of doing it daily it gets so hard. And learning is even harder. Managing my mental health. I really feel for people who have chronic mental health issues. I went through a depression a few years ago, and it was the most horrible thing. I did not quite understand what it was until I went through it. Whenever I would hear of someone that commits suicide I would think that's so sad. I'm sure there could have been a way to work out his problems, but reality is, when you have depression it's not even about whether or not you have problems in life. The feeling of sadness and hopelessness just consumes you, and you don't know what to even do with yourself, because there's no motivation or will to live. When I got it, I had no real issues, nothing that I can work on fixing. It was just that I was sad and depressed and demotivated. Ultimately what I think my problem was I was working lot of night shifts, and on my days off I would just stay in night shift mode. If my next set of shift was nights and sleep until like 2 to 3 PM. So I was going weeks or even a full month without ever seeing daylight, since it gets dark early here most of the year. Now I force myself to revert back to day mode after night shifts, so I can actually be up during the day on my days off. I also try to go for walks more often. Even in winter. The trails are actually pretty nice in winter as ski-doos keep them packed down, so you can walk them without snowshoes. Cooking with puff pastry. I'm pretty sure you have to sell your soul to make puff pastry. Listen to you. Making puff pastry dough is even harder. Mayo. For that you need not just your own soul, but another one too. Healing from trauma takes so damn long. So very true. Personally, I didn't really understand how much trauma it actually was until reflecting on it years later. In the moment, it was hard to process it all. Now, I'm like damn, I lived through that so much. This falling in love with the right person. Please click subscribe if you enjoyed this video.